Good morning. Welcome to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. I'm your host, Harvey Freed. My co-host, the best, the wonderful Becky Alley.
What is going on, everyone? Happy Saturday. It's a little rainy, but it's all good. I'm kind of digging this fall weather that came in like from one moment to the next.
Oh, it's fantastic. September 24th. And yes, someone turned the clock over the other day and it said it was fall. And Mother Nature said, okay, I agree with you. And a little bit cooler weather. But hey, there's going to be some sunny days out there. And this is a wonderful time of the year. And of course, you want to introduce our wonderful guest.
Yeah, we got Mr. Scott in the building.
Scott, it's Goleniak.
Goleniak, yes.
I'm good with that one. You got some really important stuff to tell us all day today, but thanks for joining us. Of course, 1 hour of the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. We take your calls live here, 248-539-9797. There's a lot of sports coming up. We got a Michigan home game. Of course, that broadcast starts here at noon, and there's going to be some pregame at 11 o'clock. Before we get into all that, Becky, and again, we're going to be talking some college stuff, college towns, some opportunities to buy homes. Those have always been really exciting for a lot of families. Over the years, I've had the opportunity to work with some families where they said, you know what, I'm not paying this rent up there at college, and they bought homes 5-10 years ago. When I reach back out to those clients, those are the best stories ever.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about this right before the show anyway, that, we have some clients that they're Michigan alumni, and there's just something about your alma mater that just always calls to you. And whether you're going to the games and, you got that tailgate spot, it's always important to kind of give back to that community. And I have some clients that it was their goal in life was to own a piece of property in Ann Arbor, and they knocked it out. They renovated it, and now they're working on property number 2 up in Ann Arbor, which, everyone, like anyone that knows Ann Arbor, it's a very niche product. They don't like outsiders, right? They like to stick to their own kind.
Absolutely. I've moved a lot of people from out of state back to the Ann Arbor area because they are Michigan alums. And when I watch Facebook, I do see, all of my clients posting things at the football game or at the city. And it's great seeing that. And they look extremely happy now that they're back in the Michigan area and the Ann Arbor area as well.
We always talk about that. This is another great opportunity, Becky. So many great universities around town. Of course, East Lansing. There's plenty of families that have bought homes out there. And then including even here in our own backyard, like let's think Oakland University right here in the heart. You can buy in Auburn Hills. You can buy in Rochester. Those surrounding areas are great opportunities for families.
Listen, don't sleep on Michigan. That's all I got to say. Any part of Michigan. I mean, we are, I feel like we're underrated. You got lakes. You drive 4 hours. You could feel like you're in the Caribbean. And we have, top schools here in Michigan as well, like with Michigan State. Everyone knows who we are. So don't sleep on us here in Michigan, because if, people are trying to, they always say that Michigan is the direct canal to like Florida. Well, guess what? They always come right back home.
They do. And lately they have been coming back home. Now that people are working from home, but hey, don't count your blessings on that, because I can see people heading back to the office and having to, return and not be able to work from home anymore.
Yeah, I agree with that. I feel like there was that blip where people were able to work remotely if you were essential, non-essential, and companies found that people could be efficient and work home, and it's also changed what they're looking for as far as in real estate, right? Well, I can work in South Carolina, and I have a client that is working remotely, and she's coming back to Michigan because she wants to be around her family and things like that. Well, if her company doesn't allow her to work remotely, well, then that's going to be a problem. And, that's things that we have to discuss on the mortgage side is, so when someone is working in a different state and you're trying to, come to Michigan or vice versa, we have to document that, right? We have to make sure that the employers are going to be okay with someone working remotely. So if, to that point, Scott, if they flip that switch and say no, we have to have that documented, like, okay, well, now is there a department here in Michigan that you're going to be able to come into?
Correct. Yeah, they have to.
Now, Scott, during that pandemic, you guys brought it up. We saw the changing in the job market, no doubt. But there's tons of jobs around here, and that's what's really keeping, I think, in my opinion, like I'm not scared of this crazy world. People want to predict these bad things in our real estate market. Look, we no doubt we're seeing some different changes in the marketplace. It's forever changing, as we can constantly discuss. One of the changes is, of course, the interest rates. Let's not look the other way now. We talked about it earlier. A report came out what your mortgage would have cost you for a $600,000 house, Becky. Now that's about a $300,000, $350,000 mortgage. So yes, things are more expensive, but it's not forever.
No, it's not forever, but it is important that we just get it out of the way. The Fed, definitely hit us for another 75 basis points for the third time in a row, which again, we all knew these things were coming. We just weren't sure exactly how they're going to do it. Now, the Fed is going to meet at least 2 more times. So they're predicting at least one more bump up, on this. And I'm going to quote something that from an article I read. It says Powell also directly addressed the real estate market, because obviously we are the most directly affected by whatever it is that they're doing, right? And noting that the housing market has been red hot nationwide for some time, the slowing of home price growth should help sky high prices and get them more in line with rents and other fundamentals. He recognizes that the housing market is likely have to go through a correction to get back in place. So what is he saying? He's saying that more so that these home prices that were going 20, 30,000 over asking, that was what was more unsustainable than more so the payment. And, people did take advantage of it and say, okay, a $200,000 buyer was able to buy a $400,000 house over the last 2 years. But now it is kind of bringing us back to where maybe it's, they're getting more in line with what they could have afforded any other year except for the last 2 years.
Yeah, I agree. I think the prices were starting to get out of hand. You had first-time home buyers having a very hard time buying homes because the sellers were looking at 3% down versus a 20% down or 50% down, or in a lot of cases cash. And it's amazing on how many cash deals that I've heard of, cash deals that I have closed over the last 2 years since the pandemic. And the mortgage rates going up is definitely not going to help anybody at this point.
Yeah, I agree with that. And, and people were wondering, well, where's this cash coming from? Okay, well, it's because they were refinancing their existing homes in some of these cases. They were using that equity. They were taking advantage of the fact that the market improved, and then they were using that to get in there and get these houses. But it was killing first-time home buyers that thought that all they needed was $10,000 their whole life to get into a house, let's say, for example, and then just kidding, you need $50,000. Like, who's unless you hit the birth lottery with parents giving it out. I mean, I don't like who could compete with that.
I think some of the cash buyers too. We did see that they already had existing homes. They knew they were going to sell them, and they had the funds to work with. So instead of risking losing that house and not getting what they wanted to do, is step up and take advantage of those low interest rates. Of course, they did that. They paid cash, and then they did a delay financing transaction where they went ahead and once they sold their house, either just go ahead and got a mortgage. You can do it as a delayed financing. So there's some things that did take place over the last couple of years that are pretty interesting. Never have we had 3 days since July of this year, Becky, where interest rates actually were a little bit better. So maybe we saw a little bit of a price improvement yesterday.
Yeah, we did.
There might be a pocket of some improvements, but who knows? We don't really know what the landscape's going to look like again as the market continues to slow down a little bit. We're going to get into that here, and we want to hear from you. 248-539-9797. The market is definitely going to bounce. The Fed could continue to rise. Fed funds rate to about 5% again. You dropped the line that Jerome Powell, the Fed chair, is throwing out there. Of course, our real estate market's really severely being affected by it. We're in the first stage of how these interest rates have burped up and slowed the market down. There's another stage we'll talk about a little bit later in the show.
Yeah, but the reality is that it's still not going to keep people from buying homes. People are always going to need, housing is a necessity, and rent right now is going through the roof. So people need to focus on not so much the interest rates as much as they can afford the payments. And if you are, getting hit with a $2,500 rent increase, right? For example, like I have a client, that's why it's a very specific number I just threw out there. Okay. And he's calling me saying, I don't want to pay this. And I have until, they just gave me a notice. I have until January 1st. So I need to start looking at what I need to do to purchase a home. And he was pleasantly surprised that he actually is in line to afford a home of his own. And we're able to dial it back. And what his payment is going to increase to, he's able to buy a $200,000 house, give or take, or what the taxes are. And he has the money. So there's so many people out there that have been riding the fence about whether they can dip into the home ownership market. But because they were intimidated by what they heard over the last 2 years, it's kind of put them on the sidelines. And now I feel like it's flushing them out because of these rents.
All right, we got a great show lined up for you here. We're going to be taking all your calls. 248-539-9797. Keep it here. Welcome back to the show. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. We are powered by Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, NMLS 2289, Equal Housing Lender. You can call us at Capital 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker, and get in touch with us with all of our great programs. We offer every program out there. And Becky, I like some of these extended rate lock programs.
Yeah, I mean, right before the break, we're talking about obviously how the Fed is announcing, the interest rates, and it's no secret that the mortgage interest rates have been affected by that. So one thing that we're doing here at Capital Mortgage Funding is we are allowing you to lock your rate while you're shopping for the house, right? So normally you cannot lock a rate until you have a purchase agreement, but as long as you get your documents to us in advance, we are now securing properties, we're securing your interest rate, and but we need to have your file fully underwritten to do that. So how you do that is you just get us your documents after your pre-approval, and it's something that we discuss with you over the phone. So we're doing everything we can to help our buyers get into these homes and keep their payments, reasonable, because you're trying to hit this moving target, and it's something that we're trying to control the uncontrollable. So it's something that we're doing here, Capital Mortgage Funding. So make sure you give us a call, and we want to hear from you. 248-539-9797. What has your buying experience been like in this market when you're, you go from trying to find 100, you're looking at 100 houses and you can't find one. And then now you're able, I feel like there's more buying power right now as far as like the likelihood of the offers getting accepted. And I want to kick it over to Scott. I think we got a special announcement. We didn't hit it in the beginning because I wanted to make sure it was all good. But Scott Goleniak is actually about to link up with some real true powerhouses. I love what he is doing to real estate, his team. And you're about to be joining the
Jeff Glover and Associates.
Yeah. So if you don't know Jeff Glover, you've been living under a rock. And if you don't know Scott Goleniak, you're going to get to know him right now because what Jeff is doing to the game, to real estate, he's traveling nationally. He's a huge advocate of the collaboration over competition. And I really admire that. And anyone that's going to be in line with him, it's, just get out of your way.
Yeah, I've been with Jeff now a few weeks, and I tell you, the passion that the office has, the passion that Jeff brings every single day to the office, you can see it in every one of the agents. You can see the excitement. You can see everybody digging in, and our team isn't very big. I think we have 40, 50 agents within four offices. And the things that they're doing there that I see on a daily basis when I walk into that office is amazing. And, the positive attitude that the leadership brings is definitely a team I want to be a part of.
There you go. It's always about education. We always find that my best buyers out there are the people that really sit down and take the time, whether they meet with me now or face-to-face. We do some FaceTime interviews, lots of conversations. It's not clicking buttons, and we're gonna go that route a little bit because you're getting a lot of inexperienced people. Whatever I could say today to get people to get involved with more local real estate professionals. Look, if you're clicking buttons, Becky, we know this for sure. You're automatically being sold to somebody. Your name and number and your click is being sold. I'm not sure who that person who answers that click is going to be. Do they have the experience when something unique comes up? Do they have the professionalism to handle your transactions? These are really important steps, is putting that team together. I feel as if maybe families would have more success if they get involved directly calling some professional like us or maybe right to the realtor.
Yeah, you cannot get a mortgage by clicking some buttons. And if you do, those are the deals that are falling apart in the calls that we're getting after the fact to try to fix the problems. It's important that people realize that this market that we're stepping into is going to be a tough market, and you're not going to be able to fake it till you make it, whether it's mortgage or real estate side. And it's going to be that boots on the ground, people that have the experience to identify problems. And, people that are consumers, we understand, we empathize, like we know that can be a painstaking thing to go and try to buy a house. And, if your credit's not in line, but it's important to have those conversations and be with experienced people that know that. And I think it's important. Like I bought my first house in 2006. At that time, the rate was 6.25%. And I think I talked about this last week too, but it's important because it's relevant, because at that time, 6.25%, you would have thought I got touched by an angel because that was when the rates were coming down. So now here it is, rates are going from the 3% to the 6s. And you just need to shift that mindset, because I still bought my house and I was 24 at the time and I was scared. And you're talking, I was just in the mortgage industry. It was a different time. It was right before the housing market, all those things. So I understand. I remember what that felt like.
Yes, that's right about the time I got into real estate.
Yeah.
And it was, we had no idea what was going to happen. And I lived through it. I made it. I'm here now. But yes, the interest rates
Yes,
were
you
over
are here.
7%
Yeah.
when I bought my first house. I probably aged myself a little bit. But yeah, seeing the 3%. I had a client last year that came to me and I said, well, what interest rate did you get? You guys will never believe this. He got 2%. 2% on a mortgage a year ago. I don't know how many points he bought, but that was unbelievable to me.
Looks
Yeah.
pretty good today, actually. Back then I might have said he might have paid too much. We don't know his overall plan, but hey, no one's going to fight anyone on 2%. Existing home sales decreased for the 7th straight month, down 20%. The number of the sales from 2021. Medium sales price, though, of course, that's always on the rise, but it's somewhere around 389,000. Regionally, it's a little bit different here. Again, we got these great pockets, some great opportunities here. Again, we're going to continue to discuss all morning long with Scott Galeniak. And of course, Scott's now with the Jeff Glover team. So, Scott, congratulations out there. We'll salute you on that. And of course, always wishing you guys the best down there. But what's going on with the inventories? Again, we're here in Southeast Michigan. The sellers out there, they're not sure if they want to walk away from that 3% rate. You got a guy at 2 or something. We have a whole bunch of those. I'm not sure I want to walk away at a 3 or a 3.25 rate and go buy that other house. So that inventory is going to be a little sketchy over the next, let's say, this winter and the next going into spring.
Anybody that's understood the real estate business for years, the wintertime is a downswing. I will tell you right now, we have meetings a couple times a week. We see the numbers. Our listing team is coming in with record listings right now. We're expected to beat last year's numbers for September, and that's incredible. So we're working hard. Our agents are busting their butts every day, and it's amazing. I think last week I can't remember which day, I got an email that we're on our 23rd appointment being set for the day, not the week, the day. So that's how hard our agents are working in the office every day to make sure that people understand today's market and they're going to get the best that they can when they hire us.
Yeah, I love that because it's instilling that sense of urgency, but it's letting that it's okay. This is actually a really good time to buy and sell because the sellers have not missed the peak, and it's also allowing the buyers to come in and check some boxes too. It's going to be it's not by no means a balanced market, okay? It's definitely very much a seller's market still because of the supply and demand and things like that, but at the same time, buyers are recognizing that they have a little bit more power, but what you guys are doing, you're setting the standard, right? There's a pattern. We're in a cycle, okay? You can see it. You're identifying it. And when you guys are hitting the ground running and bringing in this inventory, it's going to allow these buyers, these renters to get into these homes. And that is important because you are now starting to, control the narrative of what, people are thinking it's going to be an economic winter. Well, you're like, no, we're not. Not here on the Jeff Glover team. We're going to change the game and we're going to make sure that people all through winter are buying and selling.
Yeah, absolutely. That's our goal right now.
Scott, we see also, it's cool. You go out there, you said you had a whole bunch of these appointments, 23 of them. A lot of them might not sign right now, but I think I like that idea is to get the sellers out there, get some professional advice. Now, a lot of them they need to know what's going on in the marketplace, what's sold in their neighborhood. Also, they might be preparing their home over the winter time to sell in this coming spring market, which is going to be gangbusters again. Say what you want. There's a lot of families out here. We got a lot of people getting married. We got a lot of
it is wedding season again.
It's going to be wedding season again, yeah. And a lot of people, no matter what, with the rents going through the roof, look, you either buy and pay your own mortgage off or you're going to be paying some landlord's money. You get nothing to show for it. If you're going to stay here, the job market's very good here in Southeast Michigan. It seems like we can promote people towards that direction.
Yeah, I don't think we're losing. We're not going to lose buyers. I feel like we're going to gain buyers because of the rent. And what you're saying is that, it's this. You get caught up in national news, okay? National news is not in our backyard, okay? You got to talk about what's happening here in Michigan. And, there is inventory. It's popping up more. What, we're at like 3 months, I think, or 3.5. Is that what it is now? I don't know.
Yeah, we the inventory still a little low.
Yeah.
But, buyers are still going to be there. We know that. People have to have somewhere to live. And as the rents go up for homes, people are saying, wait a minute, I'm not gonna spend $2,000 a month on rent to something when I can go buy something and spend $1,800 a month. And even so, the rents are going up as the prices of homes are going up. They figure that their properties are worth that.
We talk nationally, 3.2% of month of supply. But the reality is, if you're in a nice area, let's say Ann Arbor, let's say it's East Lansing, let's say it's Bloomfield Township, Northfield, whatever it could be, and we'll go downriver to Woodhaven, it's on Groseal. There might only be 3 homes that pop up over the next couple months. And if you want to get on Groseal, you want to get on the island and experience that type of living, then there's your choices right there. So again, maybe a window of opportunity for the real serious buyers out there. We'll continue that conversation. 248-539-9797. Go up to our second break here, but keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket. Tons of information. We'll be back with Scott. Keep it here. Alrighty, welcome back to the show. It's a Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show brought to you by Capital Mortgage Fund. You can find us all weekend there, all week. 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. Get the truth, get the real scoop with experienced loan officers. Again, we got the extended rate lock for you, the best jumbo loans anywhere. Deal with the real mortgage banker. Find out the difference between a banker and a broker.
I feel like all you got to do is have a conversation, and you can feel the difference.
I did have a good someone on the phone yesterday, but I'm gonna see if she's gonna come over, and we're gonna find out if we can turn her into a real mortgage banker. We're gonna get her there. But anyhow, here on the show, 248-539-9797. Scott Golaniak, of course. Scott, you've been around a long time. You're talking about Mackinac. You're up in Bel Air. You do them everywhere. You're a licensed Michigan real estate agent. Kids are at Michigan State. You're a real Michigan guy, and there's nowhere where I wouldn't buy in Michigan. Years ago, it seemed like, from my house here, I grew up in Southfield, headed out to East Lansing, a lot of vacant land. Not anymore, man. There's some great areas.
So I'll tell you, we just moved my twin boy. I got twin boys that are up in Michigan State, and we just moved them in a few weeks ago. And the number of vacancies on rentals, I was very surprised because they have to get their homes so quickly. So right now, I saw 3 of them on one street that said, they're ready for immediate occupancy, which a year ago there was none. So it's I was very surprised to see that.
Wow, I didn't even think that'd be the case up there now. So you are seeing a little bit of that. There's some availability up there, maybe because they built so many dorms or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I saw those literally 2 blocks away from where they're at. There was 2 homes on that street right on the corner that both were available, and I was very surprised because it was time to move in. It was a week before official move-in date for all the students, and the number of for sale signs and the number of occupancy, immediate occupancy. I was beside myself, and I pointed it out to them as we drove to go eat.
I feel like that's just a testament to where we're seeing in this market, how it is ever changing. I mean, I've been in the business since 2004. I've seen my fair share of what the market has been up and down, but to literally witness the market changing and turning almost daily, even it's changed even from just 30, 60, 90 days ago. I mean, you're talking the interest rates alone have went up over 3% since the first of the year. I mean, you're talking, we knew these things were going to happen. We just weren't sure. We knew we'd end up being around, probably like in the high 5s or 6s by the end of this year. But obviously they, like the Fed, they're going to do whatever it takes to curb this inflation. But it's also, I feel like it's made people second guess some things that if they probably shouldn't. So, so you have vacancy, and how are you handling the sellers right now? So if a seller is saying, I don't want to sell because I feel like I've missed the peak and I want to stay. Well, how are you guys handling those conversations?
We don't have an hourglass in front of us. We don't know. We can only predict what may happen. And right now, the prediction is the prices of homes are going to start coming down, unless these interest rates start to move. But in the end of the day, I tell my sellers, we don't need 10 buyers. We need 1.
Yeah.
And, as long as we can get that 1 buyer and we can track them. And, the one thing in real estate, and, Jeff will say it every day, our biggest enemy in the real estate business is days on market. The longer your house sits on that market, the less chance of getting more buyers to come in.
Sellers, yeah, and there's some listing agents are saying, "Don't say that, man. They might be listening right now. Don't say that."
It's true though.
It's the reality of it.
Yeah, and is it so? Like when it's sitting on the market like that, for example, is it because the seller, like the agent at that time has a hard time controlling the client? And I'm not saying that in a bad way, but sellers are still in that mindset thinking that they are going to dictate what the price is, but in reality, market dictates the price.
Yeah, you're right, and I'll give an example of a real time. My last listing was Grosse Pointe Farms. Mm-hmm. And we listed the house 18 months after they bought it because they had to return back to Nashville. Okay. And within about 2 weeks, we realized, we're really not getting a lot of action. So we did a price drop, and they were fully okay with it. Everything was, I prepped them ahead of time. So they knew what my plan was. Once we did that price drop, we also did an open house. And literally the day after that open house, I got an offer. The next day, in negotiations, got another offer.
Oh, yeah.
And next thing you know, we sold it for exactly what they wanted to walk away with. But, sometimes that's what it needs to, it needs to be is it's got to be able to, we don't need 2 buyers. We just needed the 1. and
Yeah.
we got that one buyer.
Yeah, and I think it's about setting those proper expectations. Like you said, you have a game plan. You're going to execute it. You're going to let them drive the bus just a little bit, but then you're like, okay, we tried it your way. Now we're going to do it mine, and you're going to see the difference, and you're going to understand why you hired me. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't take, oh, well, I want 14 offers. Okay, why? Why, when the one offer gave you exactly what you wanted, and and just because it wasn't XYZ over asking, you got what you wanted, and be okay with that, because we've seen 18% increases, right? Double digits increases. And when you're saying that, I want to kind of retract something. When you're saying we're going to see the home prices coming down, okay, well, if you're still seeing 5% appreciation, we're still in an appreciating market, and people need to understand that.
Wow, that'd be fantastic, Becky.
Yeah, it really depends on the area, the home. What's in that home there's so many different factors that come in. You can't just say I own this home.
It's
Everybody
worth $1
else
million.
yeah, everybody else is getting 10 offers. Why don't I have 10 offers?
I call it the I want an Oompa Loompa and I want it now, Dad. Like
I want it
syndrome.
now.
Yeah.
Let's go to some basic stuff here about mortgages. And again, of course, if you're buying a house, 93% or more of the families out there, of course, you're going to be obtaining a mortgage, and keep that cash hopefully set aside somewhere. But Becky, all these great opportunities. So we offer every mortgage truly that's available in the United States. I don't think there's one out there that we don't offer. But here locally, we always see families conventional as little as 3% down, FHA 3.5% down. USDA, Becky, 0 down, VA 0 down, all these great opportunities and mortgages. And let's just touch on our MSHDA programs, because, oh boy, MSHDA, the state of Michigan, Michigan State Housing Development Authority, this great program, they're offering $7,500 any city you like, and then 10,000 in selected cities. This program's a little bit backed up.
Yeah, I mean, and as predicted, I kind of threw my hat in the ring that MSHDA was going to be a major player this year, for the simple fact that the interest rate is kind of more controlled. It's, it's allowing, your payment to be controlled as well for these first-time home buyers. But again, they've completely changed it, so it is specifically now just for first-time home buyers. They eliminated the program where you could be, you can even take a second person and not have to qualify them. So they've gotten more strict on it, because they knew of this influx, because people need money, but they're also trying to get into affordable housing. Mm-hmm. So these down payment programs are awesome. But on top of that, we're one of 2 lenders, I think, in the state of Michigan that are offering a grant program through conventional financing. So depending on what area you're looking at, you can get up to $10,000 or $8,700 or $8,750.
Yeah.
It's a grant, so you do not have to pay it back. It's changing the game. I actually had a buyer reach out to me that had another lender blow up their transaction. I was the second call, but guess what? I was the last call, because I was able to get them in a better position. They already had concessions on top of this grant. They're literally getting into the house for $100. So it's a grant. You don't have to pay it back, but you do have to income qualify. You do have to credit qualify. The property has to fit you in there, but you also do not have to be a first-time home buyer.
Right.
And it is something that is important, and that you're working with people that can kind of go through, press all the buttons, and make sure they're setting you up for success, because I would take $8,750.
Freddie Mac Borrower Smart
Absolutely.
Program. Becky, I took the test, learned a lot about the program too. My client couldn't get in. We almost got him in there. About a little bit of a 700 credit score, I think, is where you need to be on it. Again, we punch it in for you, and we can quickly determine, are you going to sit around and wait 60 days to get the MSHDA loan that you're going to have to pay back one day? Great program if you're going to qualify for that. Or maybe your credit's good enough and your income fits you into the qualifying for another program, which is a true grant, and you don't have to pay it back. I'll take $8,750 that I don't have to pay back.
Especially if you're not a first-time home buyer, it's just, give us a call. The biggest thing is that you need to start the conversations when you're looking to purchase a home, and you cannot start it sooner. And you don't know what you don't know, but it's our job to hit you with the programs that will suit you best.
All right. Hey, we got our call here this morning. Welcome to our show. And if you want to join, 248-539-9797. Carlos, you're live on 97.1 The Ticket. Go ahead.
Hi, guys. Hi, Becky.
Hey, what's going on?
How you doing?
Good.
I love your show. I just found it interesting what you guys were talking about, the interest rates. In '84, I bought my first house for 13.8, which was really crazy at the time.
That's about double where they're at today.
It is crazy. In '04, I bought my second house for 5.84.
Yeah, so you get it. You've seen it, and there are going to be opportunities, later on down the market, but it is about perspective.
Correct. I've been in the business just for over a year now, and it's forever changing. You're learning something every year, not only every year, every month, every week. It's insane.
So you're in real estate now?
Yeah, this is Carlos Ludi from eXp.
Oh,
Realty.
hey, all right. Hey, what's up?
All right.
Yeah. So yeah, you're right. It's like, it's all about that perspective as far as interest rates. And I'm actually really glad that you called in with this because it's kind of setting that tone where, you know, you can be at 3% or 13%, and then you had an opportunity and you saw fives, and then we saw them kind of burp back up to the sixes, and then when they came back down to the threes, and then they went to the twos for a second. Now we're back up to the sixes. So the market is ever changing, and you can't really predict it, but at the same time, people have always bought and sold real estate.
Right. And I love your quote about date the rate, marry the house, because that's exactly what people are doing right now with these interest rates fluctuating the way they are.
That one's trademarked by Becky. She gets 10 cents for every time that is mentioned. Actually, we got a whole bunch of them we trademark.
So if I say it a few more times, you'll 10 cents on the dollar, right?
For
Carlos,
sure.
thanks for calling in, man. We really appreciate it. Again, good luck in your career as we continue on here in real estate and mortgages.
Thank
and
you,
again,
guys.
thank you. A lot of great families out there and individuals who got into the industry lately. We're going to see a little kickback here. Look, I actually wrote it down there. It's either going to get really, really bad, and I'll be working a second job too, or the strong will survive. And again, the educated, the people that have been around a long time, built these long-term relationships. If you're just clicking buttons, we got to get you off of that. Again, if you're thinking about home ownership or selling your home, give us a call, 248-539-9797. We'll be right back. Alrighty, welcome back to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate and Business Show. We're in our 23rd year, giving you great information about mortgages and real estate. Yeah, things are a little tough out there. That's okay. We'll get you over it. Call us at the office, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. We got a few minutes before we take some additional calls here. 248-539-9797. And Harry Glanz, he's at the office all day. He just
I stopped by to
here.
say hi.
There,
What's going on? Want to see Scott? Want to see you and Becky? It's fun. And then I heard the caller talking about the interest rates, and you say, is it tough times now? I don't think it's tough times. We were sitting in this very station, right?
Yeah.
2007, 2008, 2009, we're talking about foreclosures. It's not tough times. People are working. Yeah, interest rates have gone up, but they're not as high as they were even back then. So when Carlos called up, and I know Becky's going to talk about her grandma.
I'm getting Charlotte in the studio. I swear it.
Yeah.
Don't push me.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Things are good.
Let's move off to this call then, Harry, because James is on the line. If we want to plug in James there. James wants to purchase a home. Good morning. Welcome to our show.
Yes, good morning.
Morning.
I've had 3 homes that I bought on land contract, and then I was taking care of my folks, and they both passed away last year, 21 days apart, and I've been living with friends and then with my daughter and my son, but I would like to have a house again. And I got pre-qualified through Rocket Mortgage for $50,000, and I found out everything under $50,000 you have to pay cash for it.
Yeah, that's a tough market.
I mean, because I'm having a hard time hearing you, but if you're trying to buy a $50,000 house, I mean, you can buy a we do have a threshold. We will finance a $50,000 house. So, some people don't want to get into that because, there's restrictions and things like that. But we'll give you a call after the show and make sure we're getting you set up with the right people and getting you in the right line of things, because I want to make sure I'm really understanding you. So we'll definitely reach out to you after the show.
Yeah, definitely a little bit hard to hear there, but we'll reach out to him. And anyone out there who's looking to purchase a house, Scott, I mean, he made the initial call, and he's going to need to look to see what the numbers are looking like, how much money he's working with, and all these other great things. Hey, let's move off to Mr. Glover there. He called in. All right, Jeff Glover, you're calling in the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. Good morning, Jeff. Thanks for calling in.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Morning.
Thanks for taking my call.
Good morning.
Yeah, man. I was just actually, singing your praises. Even like I talked to Justin Ford quite a bit. We got your new Scott Goleniak on your team, and I can't sing your praises enough because I love what you're doing to the real estate game. How you're going around, you're mentoring, you're hitting people with the truth as far as the agents. Because I know when I got in the business, I got kicked out of a nest and was like either fly or fall, and I had to learn how to fly. So you're part of that next generation that's reaching down and bringing people up with you, and I love that.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, it actually started for me back in 2005 when I was given an opportunity to run an office, and I just could not believe the training manual that they wanted me to present and train the agents on. And I said, this isn't going to help them be productive. And so I just said, do you mind if I just share what I did the first 18 months of the business? They said, have at it. And we ended up being the fastest growing office in the chain, and it's kind of where I found my passion in training, developing, and helping others.
Well, there's no better textbook than experience, okay? You can read, you got to go through it. You got to live it, and then you can teach it. Once you live it, you could teach it and impart it to other people, and I believe that's the best experience, okay, that you can give to anybody else are the experiences that you've gone through. And certainly in this market, in the last 33 years that I've been doing this, the market is the best teacher, and that's all I tell people. And then we go ahead and we but you got to have your nose to the grindstone, right, Jeff? You got to work every single day.
Well, that's what I appreciate, about you guys, because that's the same thing. There's a lot of people in this industry after they reach a certain level of success, they say, okay, I'm going to be a trainer now, or I'm going to be a broker, or I'm going to be a leader, or I'm going to, start my own team or do this or that. And then they stop producing. And, people are surprised to hear I'm still in production. I still sell 75, 80 homes a year, and I'm out on buyer consultations and listing appointments alongside my agents, because at the end of the day, I can't train them to be successful unless I'm in it with them and on the ground with them.
Yeah, how come we get that question every day? How come I get, Harry, how come you're still working? Why am I still working? First of all, I love it. Second of all, I love the people I work with. And third, what else do I do? I'm not, look, at the Tigers don't need an old, slow center fielder. That's over.
I got a few of those.
That passed me, right?
So
what am I going to do? I love doing it, but the people that I work with and the energy that I feed off from Becky and Harvey and Scott in here, I was just at the office. I had to come in and say hi to everybody. I mean, that's just the way it is. So I appreciate
Well, it's the
that.
number one form of leadership. Number one form of leadership is by example, period. End
Yeah.
of story. I don't care
I
what
agree
you
with that.
accomplish. I don't care how you slice it. At the end of the day, people do what they watch. People do what they see. They don't follow what they hear. They do what they witness. They do what they see. I mean, that's true in personal and professional life, and that's the number one form of leadership.
Yeah, we
I agree with
appreciate
that. People, even with your kids, you can't preach it; they catch it, right? They're going to watch you. They're looking at you, and they're hearing you. And when you're leading by example, that is the only way to do it. And I feel that passion that you feel every single solitary day. I know Scott feels it too, and that's what we're trying to be in line with right now. And this is that market where you need to be surrounded by people that really care, that have seen it. We got our PhD in what to do and what not to do, and I love what you're doing, man.
Yeah. And you guys have been through it all, so I respect that as well. Good market, bad market. We've been in it all in it for 15, 20 years, and we've seen them all. So.
Yeah, man, we appreciate you calling in for sure.
Thanks a lot,
my
Jeff.
man. Appreciate it.
All
Thanks,
right,
Jeff.
You bet. Good
All
job,
right.
Scott.
Thanks,
All right,
buddy.
guys.
Jeff Glover, if you haven't heard from him, as Becky said, you might be living under a rock here. He's sort of a name in real estate in Southeast Michigan, as Capital Mortgage has been a huge name across Southeast Michigan. If you want your mortgage, if you want to make sure you got the best offer out there, and again, our pre-approvals are more than a pre-approval. Becky, we take it to the next step. We get in the clients approved. You got to call Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. Get on top of this vibrant market. And let's go out to Jake real quick. Jake, you got a call here. You said you're about to close on a house. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I was just saying I went through one of the banks in the area, and I was actually able to qualify for $15,000 in grants, two $7,500 ones. So I was able to cover my closing costs and also buy my points down to 475.
Well, fantastic.
But it's just been crazy because my fiance and I have been looking for a house for the last year and a half, and the last house we were outbid on by $23,000 full cash over asking for a 1,300 square foot ranch.
Yep. Hopefully those days are going to come back, because that means when you go to sell, our market's going to be crazy like that again. But congratulations, Jake. You snuck in there. You took advantage of some grant programs out there. Maybe, again, without getting into full detail because we're up against the end of the show here. But congratulations. You suck out some, you got to search out what's available out there, Becky. And everyone's got a different situation.
Yeah, everyone's got a different situation, but we have access to any first-time home buyer program that is out there, whether it is local. There's one that's, if you're trying to buy a house in Port Huron, we have that available. If you are Native American, there's a program for you too. I mean, the point is that when you're calling us, we are literally going through the check sheet. What can you qualify? What can't you qualify? Can we get you to qualify for something if you fix those credits? But I want to kind of kick it into Scott real quick before we wrap up the show, as far as what he was talking about, how they got beat out. 20,000 over asking, cash offers. I mean, do you think we're going to see that cash flying around like we saw over the last couple of years?
Yeah, we're still going to continue to see cash buyers. That's just not going to go away. People have money that they wherever it comes from. We're going to continue to see that, but multiple offers are still going to exist. I mean, there's going to be a lot of buyers out there, and there's not much inventory, especially running into the winter months. But once it comes spring, it's gonna be the same thing. Depending on the price point, you're gonna have multiple offers. Depending on the house, if you have an immaculate house, everybody wants that house.
Yeah.
So you're gonna see it, and you just got to be very creative when you send in your offers.
I feel like, though, the last couple of winters, though, I didn't see a slowdown personally, but because there was such a lack of inventory that, everyone had FOMO, so they were going out there, I got to buy this house, I got to get this house. You're standing in line, I want to stand in line too. I don't know what we're standing in line for, but I want it, right?
Well, when we say slow down, we mean it's going to slow down. It's not going to be June.
All right.
Different kind of slowdown for sure.
I love it. So, I'm excited about what is to come. And again, people, don't be afraid of the interest rates. This is not the first time we've seen rates in the sixes. There's going to be opportunities, and don't let that opportunity miss out on you while you're renting, because rates are still historically low. Give us a call and get some perspective, because the time is now for you to build your own legacy.
Scott, thanks for joining us. Scott Galeniak, of course, Jeff Glover and Associates. We'll catch you out there in Plymouth and all around Michigan. You must hit all the offices. Thanks for joining us, Scott.
Thank you very much for having me.
Stuff.
Appreciate it.
Call
What a blast. What a blast just walking in and hanging out with you guys. The energy's fantastic.
Yeah, thanks for bringing your vibe, man.
Hey, thanks for having me as a guest.
Thanks, Harry Glantz, for joining us here live in the studio. Of course, we'll be back at the office, so call us at 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. For Becky Ellie, Harry Glantz, I'm Harvey Free. We'll catch you next Saturday.